Hello and welcome to another Monday with Marie. And this Monday, we are in the US for the Thanksgiving week. So it's very exciting stuff in the US. So let's talk a little bit about what happens at Thanksgiving, which really, let's not talk about the turkey and the stuffing and all that stuff. Let's talk about the fact that there's usually opportunity for us to have conversations with family members and friends that we are not accustomed to having conversations with, or we try to avoid most of the year. And with that, I had an interesting question that came up this past week. And I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about it. So I was on a call with a client, and the client was talking about the difference between harm and hurt. And I thought such an interesting question and conversation. Really, what they were asking is, what is it, right? What is the difference between harm and hurt? And I thought, oh, I'd love to address that. But I think there's a bigger picture when we think about harm and hurt. So, really quickly, hurt is more of like a sting, and harm is a full fracture. So, hurt is really where growth sort of happens. Someone tells us something, it could be feedback, it could be a comment, and it sort of hurts, it stings, but we can learn from it, we can grow from it. Harm is when that person is really trying to humiliate us, or they're causing us really pain beyond a simple hurt. And it's not about growth. It's about really, truly trying to cause that person to feel bad about themselves or to make fun of them, that kind of thing. But it really brings me to a question that's deeper than harm and hurt, which is intention versus impact. And so to break this down, I think it's really important to think about it in terms of intention is what I meant to do, right? Impact is what actually happened. And a lot of times when we think of conversations, we think that the intention will reveal itself in the course of the conversation. We think, well, they know I'm a good person, so they know that my intentions are honorable. But it's not true. The truth of the matter is, we judge others by their impact, but we judge ourselves by our intentions. So when you correlate that to hurt, hurt is an impact that's mismatched with the relationship of the intention, right? The intention was good, but the way it impacted that person, there was a mismatch. But harm is a repeated mismatch. It's when it's constant, when it's not so much that the person's intentions are honorable, it's that they're constantly causing pain. They're constantly creating a negative impact on you. The other thing that you can think about it as well is that if someone were to step on your toes and then they said, instead of saying, I'm really sorry, they say, well, I didn't mean to do that, meaning that they're viewing their intention as a higher priority than how it actually hurt you. They're not even acknowledging that you got hurt, that your toe is hurt. That is true harm. Where if it was just, I stepped on your toe, I didn't obviously mean to step on your toe, but I recognize that you're in pain. And my reaction is, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That right there shows that my intentions were not to hurt you. And in fact, I did hurt you. So that's hurt, not harm. I bring that up because as we go through Thanksgiving, there's going to be a lot of discomfort. And there's going to be a lot of feelings that the conversations could get dangerous. And that really does happen when there's low trust and when there's false harmony. Like we try to avoid the conflict at the dinner table. And so by avoiding that conflict, we tend to try to pretend that that person doesn't exist, or we shut down completely, or we go for broke and we start fighting with that person. But I'd like you to pull back a little bit and think about this as you go into these really conflict-driven situations that we call family dinner. So before you start throwing the sweet potato pie at someone or a turkey leg, stop and ask yourself the following questions to sort of help yourself to diagnose what's happening. Was this conversation about a behavior, or was this conversation about a personal identity, about you as a person, a factor you cannot change? So, for example, I can't change the fact of my height. My height is my height. That will never change. So, is this person commenting about my height, which is something I cannot change? Or is it that they're commenting on my behavior? So, for example, I'm wearing high heels shoes, right? Did this person acknowledge the impact that they had on me, or are they hiding behind intention? That's really important. So if I said to someone, what you just said really hurt my feelings, if their response is, well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, versus, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Can we talk about that? Tell me more. Like how did I hurt your feelings, right? If they're leading with curiosity as opposed to just throwing in your face that, oh, well, that wasn't my intention, that will tell you if this is hurt or harm. I hope that's helpful, especially as we go into these conversations. And I think what's really important is that if you hear something, you know, and it is triggered by you always, you never, you're just, lean into some ideas around being curious about what the person is saying. Don't feel like you have to accept what they've said for face value. You can say, I don't believe that, or I have a different opinion, or even agree to disagree. Like, it's not what I agree to or I believe, but I can respect your beliefs. Lean into curiosity, though. Ask questions. Think of it in terms of that you are an anthropologist and you're looking to discover why the person believes what they believe. And you're doing it in a sense of curiosity and not a gotcha moment. And that will alleviate some of the conversations that you have at the dinner table, hopefully. And remember, Thanksgiving is not the time to name names before Congress. Thanksgiving is the time to give thanks for the people in your life, to give thanks for what has been positive throughout the year, and to honor those that you care about. And if you're at the table with someone that cannot bring up that sense of gratitude, it's okay to put them in a timeout. It's okay to put yourself in a timeout. And more importantly, it's okay to set boundaries and say, I will not be having this conversation. All right. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving this week, this Thursday. And I will see you next Monday with another Monday with Marie.